Odyssey, Book 3, continued, lines 351 to 455. Nestor tells Telemachus of the fate of Agamemnon and Menelaus. He suggests that Telemachus go to Sparta to talk to Menelaus. He can travel by land with Pisistratus if he chooses. I'll tell thee truth in all, fair son, said he. Right well was this event conceived by thee. If Menelaus in his brother's house had found the idle liver with his spouse, arrived from Troy, he had not lived, nor dead had the digged heap poured on his lustful head. But fowls and dogs had torn him in the fields, far off of Argos. Not a dame at yields had given him any tear. So foul his fact showed even to women. Us Troy's wars had racked to every sinew sufferance, while he in Argos' uplands lived, from those works free, and Agamemnon's wife with force or word flattered and softened, who at first abhorred a fact so infamous. The heavenly dame a good mind had, but was in blood to blame. There was a poet, to whose care the king his queen committed, and in everything, when he from Troy went, charged him to apply himself in all guard to her dignity. But when strong fate so wrapped in her effects that she resolved to leave her fit respects, into a desert isle her guardian led, there left the rapine of the vultures fed. Then brought he willing home his will's one prize, on sacred altars offered many thighs, hung in the gods' fanes many ornaments, garments and golds, that he the vast events of such a labor to his wish had brought, as neither fell into his hope nor thought. At last from Troy sailed Sparta's king and I, both holding her untouched. And, that his eye might see no worse of her, when both were blown to sacred Sunium, of Minerva's town the goodly promontory, with his shafts severe, augur Apollo slew him, that did steer Atrides' ship, and he the stern did guide, and she the full speed of her sail applied. He was a man that nations of men excelled in safe guide of a vessel, when a tempest rushed in on the ruffled seas. His name was Phrontis Onotorides, and thus was Menelaus held from home, whose way he thirsted so to overcome, to give his friend the earth, being his pursuit, and all his exequies to execute. But sailing still the wine-hued seas to reach some shore for fit performance, he did fetch the steep mount of the Malians, and there with open voice offended Jupiter, proclaimed the voyage his repugnant mind, and poured the puffs out of a shrieking wind, that nourished billows heightened like to hills, and with the fleet's divisions fulfills his hate proclaimed, upon a part of Crete casting the navy, where the sea waves meet rough Jardanus, and where the Sidons live. There is a rock on which the sea doth drive, bare and all broken, on the confines set of Gortys, that the dark seas likewise fret, and hither sent the south a horrid drift of waves against the top. That was the left of that torn cliff as far as Festus' strand. A little stone the great seas rage did stand, the men here driven scaped hard the ship's sore shocks, the ships themselves being racked against the rocks, save only 5, that blue forecastles bore, which wind and water cast on Egypt's shore. When he there victualling well, and store of gold aboard his ships brought, his wild way did hold, and t'other languaged men was forced to roam. Mean space, Aegisthus made sad work at home, and slew his brother, forcing to his sway Atrides' subjects, and did 7 years lay his yoke upon the rich Mycenaean state. But in the 8th, to his affrighting fate, divine Orestes home from Athens came, and what his royal father felt, the same he made the false Aegisthus groan beneath. Death evermore is the reward of death. Thus having slain him, a sepulchral feast he made the Argives for his lustful guest, and for his mother whom he did detest. The selfsame day upon him stole the king, gooded a martial shout, and goods did bring, as many as his frighted fleet could bear. But thou, my son, too long by no means thy goods left free for many a spoilful guest, lest they consume some and divide the rest, and thou perhaps besides that thy voyage lose. To Menelaus yet thy course dispose, I wish and charge thee. who but late arrived from such a shore, and men as to have lived in a return from them he never thought, and whom black whirlwinds violently brought within a sea so vast that in a year not any fowl could pass it anywhere, so huge and horrid was it. But go thou with ship and men, or if thou pleasest now to pass by land, there shall be brought for thee both horse and chariot, and thy guides shall be my sons themselves, to Sparta the divine, and to the kings whose locks like amber shine. Entreat the truth of him, nor loves he lies, wisdom in truth is, and he's passing wise.